Welcome back to the Quiet on Set podcast powered by Cineman. I'm Ewan Gruff, and as always, I'm joined by Lachlan and Ewan.
This week, the Dune 2 trailer released. Also, the teaser trailer for the trailer released. But anyway, it was a ride, almost like a giant sandworm ride. You and I will be discussing the Dune 2 trailer and all of its hype glory.
Looking forward to that. Then I caught up with the last few Wes Anderson films I hadn't seen before. Also watched some new releases like The Covenant from Guy Ritchie, Polite Society, Sisu, and Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. As well as probably the best AI movie I've seen in a long time. It's called The Artiface Girl. Then finally, Lachlan and I caught up with the latest season of Star Wars Visions.
Finally, this week, our main topic of conversation will be the latest MCU release. That is right, we are talking about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Does it go out on a bang? Does it go out on a flop like the most recent MCU films? You'll find out very shortly. You and I shall discuss that, won't we, Ewan?
Yes, but I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo. It's queuing up the intro. I'm sorry, I shouldn't serenade you at the start of the episode. It's a bad look for the rest of the show.
I always like when you roll into song like that. It's just it's so magical and beautiful.
Let's cue up the intro. We are professionals.
This is a professional podcast.
Yes. Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Hello there. Which actually,
Did you
this
get
is gonna
me a
be
hat
a
as
bit,
well?
Yes.
So I've got Dune Cam. It's just a camera with my Dune steelbook.
So, I don't want to waste any more time before we can talk about Dune, the second trailer. Was it your favorite film of 2019 or 2020 when it came out? Was that like at the top of your list?
I'm pretty sure it got beat out
Really?
by The Green Knight. I'm pretty sure The Green Knight just beat it during that year. I'm just pulling it up now on Letterboxd because I actually just went through and cleared out a whole bunch of my really shitty lists. But it just got beat out by The Green Knight in 2021. So I would still say that it was one of the best large-scale films from that year. And I felt like 2021 was definitely a big-scale movie year, especially with the fact that you've got movies like No Way Home, and you've also got Dune and No Time to Die. That was a great year, but this should be, I'm pretty sure it should be my most hyped and sought-after sequel. I don't think there's any other sequels coming out anytime soon that have me as hyped as this. Mainly because Denis Villeneuve is one of my favorite directors working today.
Yeah. So what did you make of that second trailer? No, not the second trailer, but technically the second trailer because we also got a teaser the day before that we are getting a trailer this next day. But what did you make of the actual first trailer for Dune 2?
It is gorgeous. I want to see this on the biggest cinema screen that I can. And knowing that this film is 100% shot in IMAX, Ewan, do you want to hear what I'm thinking of doing for this movie?
You are gonna use your travel points that you still got from Melbourne and travel there to go see it on an IMAX screen?
You bet, baby. You
Yes.
bet. That's exactly what I think I might do. Use my travel points and fly to Melbourne and watch it in the IMAX cinema and literally fly back like 4 hours later. I'll probably just do like a day trip and just come back.
Yeah.
I am really hyped about this film because a lot of it in this trailer is very practical. Like there is some CG elements to it, but most of this, from what I can see, is very practical based. I guess the world of Dune in this vision of it isn't very, okay, I mean, you've got big starships and big wormholes and big worms as well. There's the CG elements, but it's still very grounded. It's still very lack of CG vision, especially with more modern sci-fi films. Even though my alternative favorite is another Denis Villeneuve, Blade Runner 2049, which does rely heavily on CG. Dune just has this interesting feel to it that's quite exciting, and there's also some interesting new characters. Ewan?
Yes, Florence
Characters?
Pugh.
Have you seen them? Florence Pugh?
Yeah.
Austin Butler?
Yes.
Elvis himself? Ooh, it's a cast that's going to be very hard to beat.
Yeah, certainly is. I mean, it's not as star-studded as maybe whatever next. I think there's 2 Wes Anderson films that might release this year, but there's just a lot of people in them. Not necessarily where you are hyped about their performances, but just like them having good fun on screen. At least that's on my end. Here you got like a lot of really, really talented people in front of and behind the camera. You know, the grander scale of a CGI environment and the sci-fi element of something like Blade Runner 2049 can basically be condensed down to, in the Dune films, to that like really specific color grade that they got going for it. It just works in that universe. And I think it's Florence Pugh in that like night outfit or whatever she got there. Looks stunning. I feel like there's gonna be a home run on the production design, the costumes, the VFX, of course. And then, yeah, maybe even a really, really fun story now that we can, whatever's been set up in the first one can just be like continued on in this story. And it looks to be really, really exciting. So,
and I guess the big showcase of this trailer is the sandworm riding. Which apparently the sandworms are practical.
Yes. I don't know how that's going to work, but maybe it's just like...
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Like, how is this practical? Unless maybe like the actual...
It's an animatronic or something like that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because
it's
the physics don't work.
Or...
You know, that's not how sand usually works. That you can just
maybe
like,
Timothée Chalamet, I've never seen him in person, actually is quite small, and he was able to fit on the back of a small worm, and they were able to film that. But I don't know. I haven't met Timothée Chalamet before.
Maybe this is his really intricate audition for Sandman in an upcoming Spider-Man film. We don't know. We don't know.
Yes.
It could just be whatever. Yes. We are all grains of salt in one way, like we are bits of stardust, which makes us all special. That's what the next trailer I want to briefly talk about is about. Gran Turismo. It's really funny because I've never played the game, which is a racing game.
Sure.
Where you race fast cars that are like real fast cars. So it's like really technical. So the premise of this film is that the gamers who are the best at this game get to drive for real. And it's really predictable as to like what the narrative, what the story is. But I just really found it funny the way that they are advertising, because it felt really like corporate, as in like, hey, let's make a movie for the gamers to validate them. This is actually a sport, which it is. But it's just like the way that they frame it in this movie was really funny to me.
And Orlando Bloom is in it, which makes this even funnier.
The rest of like, what do you make of the trailer? To me, not like much. Like pretty standard.
It's a bit of a nothing burger.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a whole lot.
Then the WGA Strike, the Writers Guild of America, did go into effect pretty much the day after we recorded last week.
Yep.
I think we were expecting that it would actually happen. And it's been the first time since 15 years that a strike like this on this scale is going into effect. People don't know, like these renegotiations, they happen all the time. But here you were really at an impasse because basically the way that the contracts have been working for the industry have just been really outdated. And a lot of the studios have been playing dumb, as in like, no, this is still a new landscape with streaming. Obviously, we are like in the midst of it right now. There's nothing new to it anymore. The contracts were outdated, that they wouldn't get the residuals for it. So ongoing after the films still like play and get plays, instead of like on the TV where it would get like bought and then scheduled again. People can just watch it whenever. There's no residuals that come out of that for the writers anymore. So that left them in a space where a lot of writers didn't manage to make ends meet and had to take on second jobs, and makes the profession of writing a much more decrepit and depressing one that's like not really feasible. And it shouldn't be like that, especially if you are in a guild in a landscape where there's continuous increase of, I guess, profit, but the profit is just like not going to the people who, I guess, are trying to live off of it. And for that, I guess we obviously stand with the writers here, that they get what they want to, but it's a bit scary because you don't know how long this is going on for or will go on for. And one of the funny things that I saw coming out of this is that like Disney wanted to get the writers back to work, in a sense, not for the writing things, because you would get a fine. You would get a fine if you are a writer and then actually did work during the strike, but to do the stuff that's outside of writing, to come in and basically, I don't know what they wanted to do. So they had some other, if they had like producing things or whatever, they would have to do like stuff like that. And it's a bit strange, but it's no surprise from Disney. Doesn't have the best strap for working with their employees, like in visual effects. But yeah, hopefully this will get resolved soon in a way that the writers do get what they want. But that's pretty much that. I don't know if you got anything to share on this, Lachlan. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. So this is actually like proper news. There's no like spin on this. There's no joke. There's no quiet on set sort of like take on it. It's just they're striking, and we hope they get a more modern paycheck.
Yes. You know what was really funny? When I googled this next bit of news, because Yellowstone is ending, because Kevin Costner is apparently in a dispute with Tyler Sheridan, so it's gonna end after season 5. Not like the whole universe, because there's like 17 prequels, sequels, sidequels that they started. But when I googled this, the first news site that popped up to, I guess, cover this was Fox News. And I was like, okay, they know their audience, obviously.
Yeah.
That's that. It's ending. I know you've been watching it for a bit. I haven't.
I kind of stopped watching it. I need to get back into it. I need to start finishing. Well, I need to start it again to finish it. But yeah, I guess, TV shows can't end forever. And we're going to get to it in what we've been watching in a minute. But I've started season 4 of Succession.
Yes.
And which is obviously the first. I've watched the first episode, and that's it. I literally watched it 30 minutes before recording this. The thing is about TV shows is that you need to have an ending. If they did not have an ending for this season, it's not going to wrap up really well. And I can see where Succession is going, because they know that this was going to be the last season, which is good, because they could wrap it up. And I can definitely see where they're leading, hopefully, to a nice wrapped up, closed ending. But we might not get that with Yellowstone. But I do know that there's, obviously, with that sequel planned to take place after this show, they might just continue the story, but without Kevin Costner.
Might very well be the case. And as far as Succession goes, by the way, we up to episode 6. We're getting tomorrow in the time for us, yesterday in the time for you, getting episode 7. And like, the closer we get to the end, I kind of just want to get more of this universe. I kind of want to stay in, even though I don't know, it doesn't really feel like the story is ending to me. At least, like, it doesn't feel like I want it to end. Succession is great. You got a couple of great episodes ahead of you. And finally, there's the news that Karl Urban is in talks to maybe play Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat. We usually don't do like the casting news, because there's so much of it. With Karl Urban, a Kiwi? He's Kiwi, right? He's from New Zealand. Yes. And you having played Johnny Cage, we covered the first Mortal Kombat movie, I think when it came out, on the podcast here. Probably going to do that for the second one. Johnny Cage, is this the right fit for you? I just kind of wanted to bring this up, so I'm in the lead.
I think it is. I think if he shaves his beard, it's a perfect match. He has the showiness of the character, and he definitely has the visual looks down for it. So I could definitely see this working out very, very well.
It's crazy how Karl Urban really just looks like a video game character. He's just like humanoid. I can punch things, and like he works so well, I think, in a couple of roles. If he were to get this, I would be quite excited for this Mortal Kombat sequel, because he's great in The Boys. I think we're getting the last season. Is it also ending with this next season? I think it is, right? With The Boys. Should be out this year, so looking forward to that. But let's not talk about what we will be watching in the future, but what we have been watching. All right, let's talk about what I've been watching first. And I want to knock out a bunch of the new releases that I caught. First up, if you did get your fix of, I guess, Saul in Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, there's this new series that he's doing now that's called Lucky Hank, where he's the chair in an English department at a not-so-esteemed university. And it is about, I guess, him there being a bit of a dick, and it's got a pretty big cast of, I guess, pretty fun people around there in the academics. It's about like his relationship with his wife and his daughter that's pretty young but also already married. And it's just like a good fun hangout show that I couldn't really quite put my finger on what it's trying to go for, and that kind of kept me coming back week by week. So I ended up watching this week by week, and I can recommend it. It's a pretty fun show. It's not going to blow your socks off in any sort of way, But it's fun. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I was a bit let down from the last couple of Guy Ritchie films. I guess I kind of realized that I might just not be the biggest fan of his style overall. At least I hadn't seen like a film in a long time from him that I quite enjoyed. And The Covenant, I also didn't like. It was just like a war film that I didn't really care for. It's about like a translator and a guy that's there, and then there's the Taliban, and then there's explosions, and there's fighting, and then they have to save each other. And I just couldn't care less. So maybe this movie was just really not for me. I think it's probably a pretty solid war film. At the center of it all, I just really didn't care for it. Similar to that, movie that's gotten a lot of hype out of, I think Sundance, was Polite Society. Action-filled story about a really juvenile teen that's jealous that his sister is about to get married, and she's basically making the husband-to-be and his her upcoming, I guess, mother-in-law to be like these villains, and she's really into stunts. So the whole thing is like an action-packed story, and I just found like the action a bit lackluster. It was like a lot of like speed ramps and whatever. It didn't really look great, and for what it was going for, the story was also really repetitive with a quite annoying lead at the center of it all. So can't really recommend that unless you really like the aesthetics. I think it's aiming for a bit of a younger audience. Then Sisu was like this really grim action tale about a like Finnish legend. It's like Nazis coming in and they are being rude. I think at one point they also shoot at or kick a dog. It was like obviously got some influences here from John Wick, and it's basically him sustaining all kinds of injuries and just killing all the Nazis. I found it a bit like repetitive as well, but it's, I guess, fairly good action entertainment. Then the actual highlights of what I watched. Now you gotta peek up your ears, peer up your ears.
Nope, you're wrong. You're so close.
Peel
so
off
close.
Peel off your ears. Pee
So
in your
close.
ears.
No, you're so close.
Pick your nose. Pee.
You're getting further away.
Pee on the stick.
But you're so close.
14 people
Perk.
in 14 years.
Perk.
I know the the Hamilton song where they say it. This is the cringiest thing I've ever said. God.
You just outed yourself as a Hamilton
14
fan. And everyone
people.
who
No, wait. I think that's not even Hamilton. I did that. I don't know. Fuck. I'm lost. Wait, can you help me, Lachlan, please?
prick up your ears.
Prick up your ears. Yes. Oh my God. Ah, thank you. I'm such a
But
prick.
also, other places call it perk up your ears.
Perk.
There's a lot of different ways of saying it. So you're so close and so far away. I think at least the way that I had it when I was younger was perk up your ears.
Makes sense. You're perking it up, right? Like an animal.
But yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, Are You There, God? It's Margaret. A new novel adaptation from a book from the 60s, I think. It also takes place in the 60s about a young kid going through the transformations of, I guess, growing up and the changes in a body that happen. Comes from the same director that did The Edge of 17. And it's basically like nailing that just a couple of years early. I think our lead here, Margaret, is 12 or 11 years old. And it does that really well. I was blown away. I didn't like love Edge of 17. I think this was better than Edge of 17. So I had a great time with it. Go check it out. I can really recommend it. And then The Artiface Girl, a AI focused movie about how to catch a pedophile, but with AI and the implications of if you have an AI model that's based on a young kid that's evolving, at what point maybe we become so evolved that you got to ask it for consent. And it basically goes like through those notions in like 3 different sequences that are spaced apart by quite a bit of time. And I found it really interesting. Some people might really hate it because it feels really theatery with like, you got this one set, you move on to the next set, and it's basically just about the conversations. But I love that type of movie. So I can really recommend that movie as well. Also watched the Ed Sheeran doc. It was pretty shit. I don't know why I watched it. Sometimes when Disney sends me screeners, I end up watching stuff that I had never any intention of watching. Same with this. I ended up watching it and I was like, I guess this is boring. It ended up being really about like one of his friends that really influenced him that died. And then that became like a really big focus of the thing and of the documentary series. And unfortunately, the whole thing just felt like we filmed him from the start, and now we got to string together a documentary. And the common through line was then like the death of a person that was close to him, and it just felt like a really promotional piece for his, I guess, concluding thing to the whole like weird summary album title that he's got. I haven't liked Ed Sheeran songs in a couple of years. I liked his early stuff quite a bit, but I think I've just kind of grown frustrated with the acoustic nasally sound that he has, so I can't really recommend that. And then finally, I've been talking for so long, look, I'm sorry, Wes Anderson, reeling you back in. I have a ranked list in the show notes here as well, and kind of see how
you have a ranked list.
Yeah, how much you disagree with my list, because I did catch up with some of the films that I haven't really watched, and they don't really scoot high in my list. So there was, I guess, a reason for me putting them off. But I watched the Royal Tenenbaums, I watched the Dodging Limited, watched Bottle Rocket, and the Life Aquatic with Steve Sisu. So I guess I'll somehow put that list on screen right now or whatever. You'll see it right here. But yeah, Lachlan, what do you make of my list? What's wrong with it? Or what do you agree with?
What do I think is wrong with it?
Yeah.
Life Aquatic should be higher.
Yeah, I disagree.
I think I like Life Aquatic more than Rushmore. I would probably put Rushmore a little bit lower.
Yeah. That's the one I hadn't seen. Like, I think that was my first Wes Anderson film, and I haven't seen it in like 8-9 years. So yeah, probably you're on.
I don't know how much I want to consider Hotel Chevalier as a
that's
an option.
Wait, yeah, no, I should put that out of there. I just really like that short.
No,
I'll get rid of it.
You cannot change it now. You are vocalizing it on a podcast, Ewan, that goes out to listeners.
I just changed it.
You cannot change it. Did you not? You didn't, did you? You just changed it. How dare you do that? You can't do that. And now you're going to edit me out of this podcast for saying that you changed it, and it's going to cut to like me talking about, yes, I agree with like Fantastic Mr. Fox being up the top. But I would probably put up Moonrise Kingdom above Isle of Dogs.
Yeah. That's a really close one for me.
I would have to go back and rewatch them all and just get a bit of a feeling for it again.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I'm older, you know?
Now that you're older. Yeah, I just really found the Life Aquatic really frustrating, and the homophobia in it. It was like, I can't really stand it. And I also really don't like Bill Murray. I can't stand the guy. I just don't like him. He's a bit of a creep, and always has been in my mind. So it was a bit harder.
Humble opinion.
Yes. So it's a bit harder for me to get into something that's like centered around him. That's all the stuff that I've been watching a lot, so much. So let's talk about something else.
So much
that we both caught this week on May 4th on Star Wars Day. The 4th was with us, not the Force, and we got a new season of Star Wars Visions. And it's great, right? What do you make of this second season of it?
I don't think it is as strong as the first, unfortunately. Right. I still think that Star Wars Visions first season was fantastic, but there are some highlights to this season.
Yeah.
There is some definite strong suits that could possibly be my favorite of the entire series, but we have to remember that Star Wars Visions Season 1 literally started with The Duel, which is so sick. It also had really good episodes such as The Ninth Jedi. And it kind of loses out by the end. But for the majority of it, there's some really cool sequences in there.
Yeah.
Going into season 2, I feel like some of them were just okay, but the consistency of the animation was way better.
Yeah.
And it just felt like a lot of different. I couldn't really think that one was the exact same as the other. And I will admit that season 2 does end better than what season 1 did. I think the last episode of season 2 was better than the last episode of season 1, but I can't get past the duel in season 1. That's like the best like Star Wars thing I've watched without any kind of context ever, and it was just it was such a fun experience. But I think the standout for me was Sith. Again, the opener, because I thought it was really, really fun.
That was great. Yeah.
I also enjoyed the next one, Screech's Reach. That was also enjoyable. In the Stars, I liked it, but I was just a bit like, meh. I Am Your Mother was fun, and I loved the animation. Yeah. Because it's classic Wallace and Gromit, but I just felt that it was a bit mediocre, unfortunately, which kind of sucked.
Wait, that wasn't the Darkhead. That was that the stop motion one, the I Am Your Mother, because there was like one.
Yeah, the one where they race.
Yeah. That one wasn't there like a second one that was also stop motion? No. That was the one.
That was the Anu song. That was the end one.
I really like the look of this entire season. Apart from like one that I hated, but yeah.
Which one?
The Bandits of Golak. I thought that one was such a miss. I hated that episode.
So one of my favorite things about it was the inclusivity of Bandits of Golak. I thought it was really exciting to see a different side of Star Wars that has a bit of an Indian inspiration, which is it's good to have that inclusivity within Star Wars, because it can get a little bit whitewashed, if I'm totally honest, with Star Wars. But the only issue I had with Bandits of Golak was the lightsaber battle could have been a little bit cooler, but it was just the child. I feel like Ewan in this situation where I'm like, fuck this kid. This kid sucks. I hate child actors.
It wasn't great.
The child just kept pissing me off in that story, and I just, if you're on the run from, the Imperial Army,
and
no matter where in Star Wars, everyone fears them in a way. Where this kid's like, I'm just gonna flute this mother. Yeah, literally. Yeah. So, but I love seeing Inquisitors on screen. It's so much fun to see Inquisitors. I think their lightsabers are sick.
Yeah.
And I love seeing some lightsaber battles. This one was a bit,
I didn't like the style as well for what they were going for, but I did like the look of the battle itself for the lightsabers. That's definitely the highlight there. But the rest of it was just like, it was too trying to be clean, 3D rendered, and I was just really not liking it. But like to me, moving back to episode 5, right? That's after I Am Your Mother. Journey to the Darkhead was by far my favorite of the season, and
awesome.
I won a whole anime just about it. It was so sick. It looked incredible. Story was great. I was fully in. Give me a shonen just about this in the Star Wars universe.
I really love Star Wars that plays on the fact that you can't have good and bad.
Yeah.
You can't have only good and you can't have only bad. You have to have good and bad, light and dark. Some of my favorite expanded universe stuff is all about sort of balancing that. Some of my favorite Star Wars stuff is obviously extended universe, which no longer exists anymore, which is why I like Visions, because it's not Skywalker, it's expanded universe stuff. But Journey to the Darkhead is so good in showing us that, and also the animation was sick. I don't know what it is with anime right now, but I'm loving it. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Followed by the Spy Dancer, which the animation style was cute and I enjoyed it, but most of all, I felt like the story was just a bit exciting to have it sort of be a parental child relationship and the Empire stealing that child from birth and then molding them into this fascist who hates themselves. It got pretty dark at the end when he takes off the hat and you can see that they've either him or the Empire has grinded back the horns on his head. I already talked about the Bandits of Golak. For me, the worst episode by far is the Pit.
The Pit wasn't great. It was so basic. It was like, it also didn't look great, but it also had like a bit like, what was the story of that one? It was so like random.
No idea. It was just the Pit. It's the bottom of the Vision's hole. I don't think it's. Oh, could it be the worst episode? Hang on, let me just go back to season 1.
I also really didn't like the second episode. That's also the lowest rated one on IMDb. The Tatooine Rhapsody was also a bit of a miss to me in season 1.
I can't remember that one.
Basically, what I wanted to bring up as well is that like the cutesy stuff from season 1, that didn't like get good reception. They didn't do as much like of the cutesy stuff anymore, or at least it was also baked into a more serious like there might be like some lighthearted moments, but it was also part of a pretty grim overall narrative, and that worked a bit better in this season, at least to me. And then Our Song, I guess, is another cutesy one.
It had a very pretty look to it, if I'm totally honest. It had the what's that kids show? Oh, I can't think of it right now. I have to internet search it. The Amazing World of Gumball.
Yeah.
No, that's not it.
No,
is it? No.
I mean,
no, it's not.
It's very different animation.
They're 2D animated style. I can't remember what it reminds me of. It reminds me a bit of Gumball. Anyway, animation style was cutesy, as Ewan just said, but most importantly, there was a really good style to it and a really tight story at the same time, where I feel like some of the cutesy ones in the past try to be more grand scale, where this one was very small. And the great thing about all of these stories so far this season were all small and contained, which is nice to have. There wasn't really any expansive, like, big ones that try to, like, take up too much of your time. But, look, Star Wars Visions Season 2 is great. Much like Season 1. I would love to see a Season 3. I'd love to see a Season 3. I'd love to see a Season 4. I'd love to just keep seeing more and more of this, because I am an advocate for more Star Wars expansive universe stuff. Fuck Skywalker. Fuck Rey Palpatine. Give me some high as fuck animation, please.
Yes, I mean, I agree. I think it's more consistent as well, like compared to another anthology show like Love, Death, and Robots. I think it is a bit more consistent. What I didn't like about the first season was that I think they probably didn't really talk to each other what the stories were going to be about. And a lot of it was just like, hey, here's a reveal. I'm a Jedi or I'm a Sith. And that felt a bit repetitive when I binged the whole season in one go. And here it did feel a bit more like different in parts, where not all of it had to be like a Jedi or a Sith. It could also just play around with the Force just being around. And I enjoyed that quite a bit. And my final question is as well, because I started out, because by default, Disney plays the dubbed version in English. And I was like, I'm not vibing with it. So I didn't really like the first episode of the series, right? I was like, there's something off about it. And then I changed it by like episode 3 to, by episode 2, actually. I changed it to Japanese. And I enjoyed it quite a bit more. So I'm wondering, how are you watching the series?
I watched it all in the dubbed one, but I thought that they were all in English. I thought that was like no, they're not? Okay. So I might go back and watch them in the original audio, not the dubbed audio, because I do like watching stuff like that.
Yeah,
I just honestly thought they were all in English. That's my thing.
Me as well for a bit. I was like, okay, well, I guess they're just getting anime inspired, but no, it's like actually done by Japanese production studios, right? So I was like wondering, why is this in English by default? And on what I was even more confused by is that like on the UI on Disney, it doesn't say Japan for those of us that speak English and can't read Japanese, but it says Japanese in like.
Was there a particular episode that made you look and switch it over?
It was the one where they were singing, just Tatooine Rhapsody. Was like, oh, I gotta switch, and I thought that Japanese was not available, because I can't read Japanese, and if you switch it on Disney Plus, it literally says it in like kanji or whatever. And yeah, I wasn't sure, so I didn't change it, and then I tried and was like, oh yeah, that fits a bit better. It's just a visual style, goes along with Japanese voices a bit more. Yeah, I don't know. I can't really watch anime dubbed even if it's like well done, it's like a thing. It doesn't really work for me. Or at least I enjoy it way less. But I mean, the voice acting is I think also great in the show. So totally, you can enjoy it just as well in the English dub. That's pretty much what I've been watching. What you've been watching. What we've been watching. And hopefully we'll get a season 3 to this. I will tag along and say that I do want to get some more expanded universe stuff, although I haven't seen Clone Wars or the Bad Batch and all of that stuff yet. But I've been meaning to catch up with it, and maybe I'll have another reason down the line to go give it a try. But let's talk about a universe not so far away. It's the one where James Gunn is still over at the MCU and not at the helm of the DC universe, with the conclusion to the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy. So, yeah.
So we're not doing Succession?
Oh, fuck. I'm sorry. No,
let's move on. Let's save it. Let's save it, Ewan. I don't need you to talk about Succession. I can save it for next episode.
Which will probably... Oh my god. You know what? On our live stream in Gunn, we'll talk about all the stuff that I've been prepping for Gunn, those films. And then the rest of it will be up to the most recent episode of Succession. So that's exciting. Something to look forward to. That? Yes. I feel bad. This is like the moment. This is like the moment from the. No, it was in episode 100. I think it's not in the intro clip, but when I didn't ask for your rating, that feels like that again. So I'm bad. Anyways, I'll drink myself to death and think about my tragic past when I was disassembled by a guy who does not have a face. Volume 3 of Guardians of the Galaxy tells a story. All right, reading from the synopsis. Peter Quill, still reeling from the loss of Gamora, must rally his team around him to defend the universe along with protecting one of their own. A mission that, if not completed successfully, could quite possibly lead to the end of the Guardians as we know them. So the whatever entry, the 30th, the 31st, the 28th entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the feature film section comes in at a quite long 2.5 hour long runtime and has been received incredibly well so far on Letterboxd. It's currently the highest rated of all of the MCU films. I assume that's just going to come down over time. I would be surprised if they would keep this at a 4.2, which would put it outside of the Letterboxd 250, but not too far. So I feel like it's got to come down. It's a good movie, I can already say that, but it's not that great. On IMDb, it's currently also really high at an 8.4. I don't know where it puts that, but it definitely puts it in like the IMDb top 250, I think. And then on Metacritic, a bit more, I guess, of a mixed thing there with a 65 rating. It's also the highest when it comes to the budget so far with 250 million. Can't say anything about the gross yet, but it seems to be doing quite well at the box office, something that the MCU has needed desperately after a couple of flops in the most recent movies. And we are gonna talk about spoilers in a bit for this. We're gonna talk about general stuff right away. But Lachlan, what did you make of the movie overall? Did it have some sick needle drops, some sick action, or was it a bit of a miss with too much animal cruelty?
It was great to finally enjoy an MCU movie from start to finish.
Yeah,
it was great to see this thing that was held so high and could do no wrong to fall so far, but to see what a competent filmmaker who clearly gives no fucks to what Marvel wants to do, because he now works for DC Studios.
Yeah.
It's great to see what James Gunn could do with this final outing of Guardians of the Galaxy, because it's the most fun in cinemas since Endgame. Ewan, you told me that, and I was like, nah, I don't know, man. That's got to be a big shoe to fill.
Yeah.
And Ewan, you were correct. I agree. I think it is one of the most fun films since Endgame, and it's also and said, like, I'm not including other films outside the MCU, but there are definitely other films I've enjoyed since Endgame. I want to clarify.
We only review.
Holy fuck! I
MCU
just said that, like, yeah, wow. I'm just fucking claiming every film is shit since Endgame.
Yeah.
No. Okay, sorry. Ewan, I need you to redact everything I just said in the
think
past,
you said
5 minutes. Just censor
been the
it.
best time since Endgame, which is fine. You just need to add the context.
No, it's not. I need people to know that I'm only talking about MCU movies. I am not talking about every film to come out since Endgame, okay?
Mhm.
Because there have been great films since Endgame.
Yeah.
But The Guardians of the Galaxy is the best MCU film to come out since Endgame. There have been great MCU films, but nothing has hit so well as Guardians 3. Ewan,
yes.
I think that's plenty of praise from me.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to say?
Needle drops. It's the best movie does needle drops since, I guess, Guardians 2. And then before that, Guardians 1. I hate it. In other movies, like in the Super Mario Bros. Movie, where you do have a lot of like bass things to use music from the games, right? But here, it just kind of fits. It doesn't feel like in emulation. It doesn't feel like... It obviously has like some pull that it tries to open... Like the whole movie opens up with an acoustic version of Creep. And it doesn't fully work for me at times because it's so over the top. But it's like... Whenever I feel like, no, this is dumb. I don't want... And I was like, no, I'm right back in. This is funny. This is actually quite enjoyable. And it's just like... You can turn your brain off and have a great time, and I really like the Guardians franchise. I mean, it's my favorite in the entirety of the MCU. Really, nothing beats it, and it's also the most consistent. Like, I know a lot of people talk shit about the second one. I also really like the second story. Like, each of these films, I guess, apart from this one, like the first two, it made me cry because I really, really liked the emotional part of it as well. So James Gunn is just really great at balancing a cast of people in here. Although I probably think he does it the least well in this one, just because there's a lot of things that come in and out of the story. But overall, I think if you're looking at for a good time at the theaters, you're looking for a good movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this is the movie to go. This is the movie to go see again if you have not been keeping up with the rest of it, because it's also got no ties to the rest of the story. You basically pick up from Endgame, nothing else is needed, and that's just a breath of fresh air when they don't feel like they got anywhere to lead to. They just kind of are doing like 15 different roads, and this movie just goes, no, fuck that. We're in the universe. We're just here to have like different paints on people and make silly jokes. And that's pretty much it. And I enjoyed it. I think it's pretty funny. I think going in, you also need to see that Christmas special because it does drop basically a bunch of information on you. It's not really overly important apart from, I guess, just the relation between Mantis and Chris Pratt, that they are brothers and sisters, right? That was revealed in that special, and they referenced that a couple of times without explaining it, of course. Although it does kind of feel shoehorned in a bit to like, hey, let's have them say that they are related in this, so people know when they reference it later on. But I mean, to me, it's also funny that like whatever Vin Diesel touches kind of becomes like a family. It just can't help himself. It's got to become like a makeshift family. Coming out of it, I think, without getting into specifics just yet, a bunch of criticism that came from people that really didn't like it. They were criticizing this one and also the overall franchise for basically just having over-the-top violence, and here also focusing really a lot on the showcasing the like abuse of Rocket in his backstory here. What did you feel about that? Was it like balanced well, or was it a bit too much?
Look, criticisms on focusing on animal cruelty. Well, here's the thing, animal cruelty still exists in this world. Yeah. And you can't say don't do this on screen when it still happens in real life. This is a whole bunch of CG animals. I think I noticed maybe one or two practical animals, but I'm pretty sure the majority of the animals in these scenes are CGI. Yeah. Which is a great thing. Mm. I don't think it's something that anyone should be criticizing, though. it's a plot point. It's known since Rocket first came on screen. For anyone who hasn't got a background in the cinematic, not Marvel Cinematic Universe, but the Marvel comics.
No, the cinematic universe overall.
Yeah.
Marvel
overall.
is cinema. There's nothing else. That's why this is the
nothing
greatest
else.
film.
This is all original
Endgame.
content.
Yeah.
Rocket we know that he was not taken care of and he was a bit of an experiment and tortured, and that's just a known fact. And if you didn't expect there's some sort of cruelty to come out of that, then I don't know. But the over-the-top violence, I mean, I wouldn't even say this movie is that violent. I have seen
me neither.
Other films, especially other MCU films, that I think are more violent than this film. So I just think it's a bunch of people who just are trying to find something wrong with this film and focusing on that. There's honestly no credit to any of those debates at all.
I feel like it's also just, if you are sensitive to that sort of thing yourself, then it could like be that, I don't know, that you don't want to see it on screen in a cinematic way over and over again. So I understand where it's coming from, but I don't get it like really overall in a sense of like.
But the thing is, Ewan, the same thing can be said with absolutely any film at any point in that film, right? Oh man, I was when I was younger, I fell into a vat of worms, and I don't want to go see Dune because it triggers me. It's like anything can be triggering to some people, but those people, most people should understand that their fear and their issues should not affect something else brought on screen, especially when it's a fictional it's about fucking aliens in space, bro, and we're gonna focus on animal cruelty? Like, come on. Should we not be concerned about the fact that there was a giant organism, I almost says orgasm, an organism built in space that it's a living thing. It's a living fucking thing, and they cut into it and people live in it. Like, come on. Really? Yeah. And they live in the brain of a dead god. They live in the head of a dead god. Like, should we not be concerned about, dead gods and what happens to their carcasses? Should we not, like...
Yeah, I know it gets a lot. That's like what James Gunn also kind of does well. That like kind of on the edge of really raunchy humor. He's done it like since I think Super, like that movie. I just quite like his humor, and if people don't really vibe with that, I guess it's easier to criticize that. I think it's also kind of funny. Yeah, sorry.
No, you go. Mine's not serious.
I think it's also kind of funny that like ultimately you got a villain that's about like destroying entire civilizations and whatever, and he's also been really, really abusive to a animal, right? And it's like, here you got entire civilizations that he wipes out, but we care about the rocket. It's like, it's funny like how subjective it gets once you focus on that, because ultimately we hate him way more for what he does to Rocket than he does to the entire civilizations. There's no real sympathy that goes that way. And I think that's kind of fun as well, because those, like, not the ruining of the entire civilizations, I'm sorry, but that the Guardians are so imperfect. They are basically like Gamora is kind of the antithesis, right? Someone who's more brutal, and they are basically trying to be good, but ultimately they're not good at if you look for, like at an objective point. They still kill people and whatever, and it just like is framed differently, and then it's just in slow motion, and then it's cool. And I think that kind of contrast is not something that they are unaware about, and then it's just fun, and you kind of ignore that part of it, and it doesn't need to be something bigger than that. It doesn't need to be consistent in every sort of way. But let's talk about spoilers, Lachlan, and let's talk about our favorite moments. What did you enjoy the most about? What was like your favorite moment of the film?
Little tripod.
A little tripod.
What was my favorite points of the film? Pretty much any needle drop. Man, I just love all of these songs, eh?
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite song, Ewan? I'd love to know. Favorite needle drop?
I don't know. For me, I'm so bad at identifying songs, and I'm just like so in the moment that like unless it's Creep, it doesn't really stand out to me as much, or I don't remember it as vividly. I mean, I love Florence and the Machine. Glad that they got something in there. Bruce Springsteen got one. No, Since You've Been Gone. Actually, such a fun one. I like the Since You've Been Gone one. What was your favorite?
Mine has to be, I guess because it's like a pretty modern song, but San Francisco by the Mowgli's is a really fun upbeat song that I wasn't expecting to be in this movie. So when I heard it, I was like, this is exciting to hear. But this is the first film in a long time where I like the entirety of the film, I basically had my foot tapping with every song.
Yeah.
And that was quite exciting to have. And I guess that's with all of the Guardians stuff. I have been listening to like a playlist with all of the songs in it for the past couple of days since seeing the film.
Yeah.
When it dropped, it was really fun just to tap my foot throughout the film. Just,
Yeah. So I guess the collective of I guess those moments in there. I think to me, what looked the most intriguing out of the trailers was that like sequence where they dress up in different look at different colored spacesuits and jump on that living organism, right, that they are invading to get, like, I don't know what it was, like some MacGuffin thing, and that whole sequence is really funny. Like the dynamic that they got is used to the fullest, and the radio thing actually got like really like belly chuckles out of me. I was like arching forward and laughing. It was really, really well done. And you basically just continue on those dynamics that certain characters have. Here you got them as a collective, works really well. But then also just one-off, like Drax and Mantis work great together. And unfortunately, we do get a bit less of like Groot and Rocket because he's sidelined for the entire film. So ultimately, although we technically get like a film about Rocket, didn't feel like Rocket was really part of this movie. Because this brings me to my biggest criticism, which is not the depiction of the animal cruelty, but the amount of basically unnecessary flashbacks we get to that, like, it's basically split. We got like the main timeline and we got the past. And I kind of got the gist of what the past is going for after a while, and I didn't need to see the whole thing play out. What did you think of it? Did you mind
don't hate the flashbacks of this because it was very small little moments during not so important moments happening with the main storyline.
Yeah.
It's a good use of flashbacks because it does build this sort of hatred of this antagonist who is mostly vacant.
Yeah.
Through the main storyline of the film, except in flashbacks. So MCU doesn't really do great villains that often. Once again, I feel like it's not the greatest villain because it is a killed off villain, never to be worried about again.
Yeah.
Which sucks to have a really good performance. Chukwudi Iwuji, I believe his name is, the High Evolutionary.
Yeah.
Great performance. I actually really enjoyed the god complex this character had. With also at the same time coming down to a human level and just like begging to like understand why are these creatures that I've created smarter than me.
Yeah.
At points, which again was a wicked plot point. But to have your villain not be in the main storyline up until pretty much the last act and only really be in flashbacks and not really do anything too villainy until kind of the end doesn't really build up a great villain, unfortunately. So for me, the biggest letdown of the film is once again, shocker in an MCU film, the villains. They just... Like, while I don't think any of them perform terribly, I feel like we haven't had a bad performance from a villain in an MCU film in a very, very long time.
Yeah.
It just sucks that there's not really a motive that makes me go, yeah, I'd also be like that if I was in their shoes. Because I can't relate to this dude at all. Thanos, I can understand that. And, you know, very early on, MCU villains had some pretty good motives as well, minus a couple of them. But at the same time, the majority of them have been throwaway, and once again, it's just another throwaway villain.
speaking of that, because he's absent for at least as a villainous present, he's there from the get-go, technically, with who he sends to
Yes.
get stuff. But
Yes.
so
Yes.
what did you make of the inclusion
him.
of the Adam Warlock character? Because I think the casting is amazing. Will Poulter is great.
Will Poulter is sick. Adam Warlock is not in this movie though. He's in the movie for 5 minutes. That's it.
Yeah.
He's only in the movie for 5 minutes, and the entire time he's like sucking on his mum's tit. Like, it is such a underutilization of the character. It's an introduction though. That's the thing. It's an introduction to his character. Why? What?
Don't slice him up, so man. You're making him
Sorry.
Will Poultry. Okay, let's move on.
Well done. No. Let's not move on, because I want you to keep making jokes about Will Poulter's name. Adam Warlock was set up to be in this movie.
Bit more
I get it.
Than
He's
did.
in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate because I felt that his presence was great. I really like Will Poulter. He's a great actor, and I think he has a really awesome career ahead of him. Yeah. And to play a character like Adam Warlock, who is essentially indestructible, right? Is basically the golden version Captain Marvel of a character, essentially. And also with some interesting motives. Like, I was happy before the end credit scene. I don't want to talk about the end credit scene right now, but I was happy where he was at, where he was at a low point and he came back. Yeah. And I was happy for him to be at that low point for a little bit longer if he's going to get his own solo thing, and maybe he gets his own sort of Disney Plus TV show. I was hoping for him, but he kind of came back with the whole confidence thing with the end credit scene. But his character is basically just okay, we need something to happen. What's going to happen? All right. Adam Warlock comes in and he does X so that Y happens, and then Z will happen because of that. He's basically a Deus Ex Machina of this film. You need something to happen, Adam Warlock will get it done. You need an initial conflict for Rocket to die, Adam Warlock will almost kill him. You need Gamora to be slowed down, send Adam Warlock there. Like, it's literally just he's there as a plot device to get things to go where they are, which is good that they're not just making it happen out of the sheer fucking will of the universe. They actually have a person there making conflict happen. Yeah. But I liked Adam Warlock and I like his character and I like Will Poulter. I like to see him continue on in the MCU, but I want to see a little bit more. There's not much to talk about. Again, he's in the movie for 5 minutes.
He does get some sick fighting moments though, but ultimately,
he does.
I think the best action still comes from the Guardians when they fight just a bunch of characters. I think that whole sequence, like I said, the Power Rangers sequence, I call it, is to me the highlight of the whole movie. And I also think that it packs a really fun cameo from Nathan Fillion, right? Something that's not like overplayed. It works. He just plays a character. There's a bunch of people that have worked with James Gunn before, like Iwuchi, the High Evolutionary, right? He's been in The Peacemaker. He was one of the main characters in that show. Jennifer Holland, which I think is James Gunn's wife, is also in this. So it was nice to see like familiar faces that are just close to James Gunn, and he feels like someone who's, for some, I don't know, to me a bit of a weird reason, really loyal to the people he's cast, which fair enough. I think it gets him pretty solid performances out of them. And I think there was also been a quote that like a couple of people from the Guardians films, he was asked if they would be in like something like Superman, his next film, and he said yes. So I think he'll definitely like take a couple of people along. And it's nice that like he's breaking down the like those type of lines that usually the studios will probably try to set, that people don't really cross these universes, and that's silly. It's silly. It's a fucking space movie where they punch each other and they're pink and then they're yellow. They're like, I don't know, they got like different really odd skin color looks and like things that tangle off. And there's like fucking butthole creatures that are huge, but then they're friendly if you are nice to them. Like that's this universe. And if you don't utilize it in that way, which I think someone else than James Gunn would have probably fumbled the bag. Then
I guess one of the few actors that have ever been able to be in both the current MCU and the current DCEU is Sean Gunn.
Yeah. He can do it all.
Right?
Yeah.
He can do it all. Like, he's done it all. He's in, like, every single... Well, actually, he plays on-set Rocket in Endgame and Infinity War, which is actually quite funny that he's in the suit for Rocket. But, yeah, it's interesting to see this be the wrap-up, to see where some of these actors and actresses go within the MCU and outside of the MCU, because... For most of them, as we get to the end, because obviously, when you're saying your favorite fight, sorry, I want to come back to that really quickly because I've been thinking about it for the past 3 minutes while you've been talking. The hallway fight, you know about the one at the end, right? Not the one in the spacesuits, right?
The one where it's like all slowed down and they,
cool, sick. Because you said that about I think you said the fight with all the spacesuits. I'm thinking the one in the organism with Nathan Fillion, because you then spoke about Nathan Fillion. I was like, that wasn't a great fight, but it was also kind of fun. Yeah. I thought you were referring, because that slowed down fight was quite fun. And one of my friends did say that it did kind of feel like the fight from Kingsman, which I get because it was quite slowed down and quite actiony. So maybe they got the inspiration from there. But at the same time, it was good to see the Guardians fight like that before we never see them ever again, or at least in this rendition. Because that was one of the best set pieces
they all die
in an MCU movie since Shang-Chi.
Since you mean like the skyscraper on the scaffolding?
Like that fight scenes,
yeah. Oh, you mean like in general? Yeah. I think Shang-Chi had some. I want to see a sequel, really.
Again, MCU fight scenes. John Wick was sick. Like 2 months ago, wherever it was. I just want to clarify that I'm not talking about every single fight scene in every single movie in the cinemas since Endgame.
This is a lie.
John Wick was great. No, I don't want you to fucking take my words out of my mouth there.
All right. But no, there's a couple of new characters that we haven't talked about yet. Mainly, I guess Kraglin is there for the new Guardians at the end there. But Cosmo, Mia Bakalova, which was something that I didn't really enjoy, if I'm being honest. I didn't really find that bit really funny.
You're being a bad boy. You're a bad boy.
Yeah, no, I at the end of my short review, I said, like, are you a good or a bad dog? And yeah. Responses have been very enlightening, but no, it's just it feels a lot of like, let's have something set up and pay it off by the end, and this movie does that in a couple of ways with like lines that they repeat back to each other, and I'm like, no, James Gunn, you're better than this. This is generic writing. Come on, please don't do it. And he does it, and I was like, I guess I'll excuse it. It's just like it's like narrative framework 101. You set something up. It's Chekhov's gun line that you have to repeat back to the other character because then there's emotional impact. I'm sure there's some other like specific thing that is it's not Chekhov's gun, obviously, but yeah, it wasn't great on that side. But I liked the powers that she got because telekinesis. Have we gotten that before? Yes, I guess Wanda. But I didn't really like her. But this is his dog now, and it's a good dog, so cool. What do you think about the new Guardians?
Groot, Rocket, Adam Warlock,
Cosmo, and
Kraglin, and Random Child 1. Yeah, I think that they're all a great assortment.
Yeah, I forgot about the child.
There is a random it's just a random kid who's got like like gloves.
I want Guardians 4 to open up and that child just brutally dies. I was like, let's pull another one in. What is the word that they say? Shmoop shmoop. It's one of the shmoop shmoops.
Yeah, one of those ones. Yeah, look, if they're going to be the future Guardians, or they're called some other random name, I don't know, but there's a certain name.
The Justice Society.
For the yeah, that's it. I get it. It was I got told that, and I was like, that's the lamest fucking name ever. Cool, new Guardians.
Yeah.
It won't be the same without Mr. Gunn, unfortunately. So I don't know what the Guardians franchise will look like. I doubt that it will be anything too crazy or anything in the near future. I feel like they will be in the expansive MCU universe.
Yeah,
coming
like
in
they
other
come in as
films.
like a team, and then they're like on the sidelines, right? But not the main focus.
So
of the story. That's
I'm
kind of the
thinking
vibe of it
about
as well.
major Avenger team ups. They're going to get the Guardians in, things like that. But they're mainly going to be in the background and called in when necessary, but not in the limelight of the MCU. So, yeah, look, they're cool.
Get
they're
the Starga
great.
biscuit.
Great to see that they're staying around, but it's nothing without the James Gunn stuff.
Yeah, I feel the same way about it. And what do you think about the way that he leaves off the characters, basically resigning them from their roles in the MCU? Not in the MCU, but at least from the Guardians.
It's better than killing them off.
Yeah.
Because if you go to kill them off, then you can't do anything with them later on. And you don't want... and actually, another thing that I think we haven't spoken about yet is how many times I thought they were actually going to kill somebody off in this film. And I thought, wow, that'd be really powerful. And then, nope, they don't. Which is unfortunate because there was a lot of weight with some of these scenes where they could actually kill them off. And it wouldn't matter because you don't need to have these characters around forever. But the way that they left the characters at the end, besides the ones that are sticking in the Guardians, so you're looking at Drax, Mantis, Nebula, who else? Star-Lord.
Was Nebula still on the team, or was she not? No, she wasn't. Right?
No, Nebula is running nowhere.
Yeah. She's running nowhere.
With that society. Mantis decides to leave to do their own thing. Yeah. Peter obviously goes back to his family, which, again, it's a nice way to send off that character who we start off with. And then you obviously have, oh God, what's her name?
Gamora?
Gamora, yeah. Gamora staying with the Ravagers. So it's a good close off. I
not
guess.
For Gamora,
I don't really have any.
I think.
Well, it's not the Gamora.
I know.
And the issue with Gamora is that she's thrown in this fucking story.
Exactly.
And she does
shouldn't
nothing.
be. She shouldn't be in the story.
She shouldn't be in the story.
No.
So it's like I can only say, yeah, cool. She's back where she started. There's nothing that happened with this. You think it's going somewhere when she goes through Star-Lord's stuff and gives him the picture of his grandfather, but then you find out that it's just a setup for him to go back to his family and just continue his life on Earth. But yeah, like Gamora does not need to be in this film at all. Like at all. And I guess it's a wrap up of Star-Lord's depression into his better self. And
it starts off with like creep alcoholism, and that's never really brought back again. It also feels like a bit of a waste where like how he depicts that, because there's a bunch of storylines apart from the one that's focused around Rocket that don't really get like a lot of like treated in a way, or like that we get back to. And I think the most frustrating thing was like when I expected, oh, this movie is about to end, no one has died yet, and then there's a really silly thing with like Star-Lord with Peter Quill on the ship where he almost dies, and I think if he killed him off there, that would have been like one of the worst deaths I've seen in cinema ever. I thought that was so dumb to have like that moment in there. It was unnecessary. Yeah, I like the transformations that Groot does. There's like a bunch of really powerful ones that he does where you feel like, oh, he just died. I was like, no, he's fine. He'll just grow back.
Actually,
and he does it so quickly.
Speaking of Deus Ex Machina, Jesus, Groot, what is the realm of Groot's powers? Like that man, that thing, I have no idea. In Guardians 1, like he can get slightly bigger, but in this one, I feel like the scale of Groot is just, it's wild stuff.
But I mean, apart from that, I don't know if there's anything else we want to mention. At the end, it does say Star-Lord will return. Oh no, the incredible or the amazing Star-Lord will, or something like that. It's like a joke at the end with the credits. So I mean, these characters are still around to come back for maybe major events, but probably not in that same constellation, and maybe as like they're separate entities. But I would love to see more of. I think Drax was amazing. It was like a great showcase for even the stuff that people didn't really like, where like Guardians 2 that was so focused on jokes that didn't always land, and I think they land here way well and way more consistently. I really like the stuff that he's done since, and like been in Dune, been like he's done some fucking serious acting, and he's great. So I want to see more of him, and I think this is probably Chris Pratt's best role. I think he really works well as Star-Lord, apart from maybe Parks and Rec. But he's great in this, and like I get why every single studio wanted to have him at the center of their thing, and he's just been overcast because I guess the forecast on his performance here is it's sunny, shiny, and I love it. Although it does get pretty doom and gloom at the start, which again is not really consistent, but I think he just works for me as like this guy who just wants to I guess rekindle the love that is not there anymore with like a person, that type of depression. I think he captures that well. So overall, I don't really have a ton of criticism apart from I guess mainly like narrative stuff, but this being just an entertainment piece, I think it nails it in the most places where you gotta nail it. So I ended up with a rating with a 4 out of 5 for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. What about you, Lachlan?
I also gave it a 4 out of 5. Shocker. Wowzers.
Yeah.
We're together on this one. Incredible.
Yes.
I love that we are agreeing on something for once, Ewan. I feel like the past few we haven't agreed on stuff.
Have we not? I don't know. I as soon as we're done recording, just like it's all a blur.
within the world of the MCU, obviously. That's what I'm talking about. Not the outside films of the MCU.
Yeah, because you
like
obviously don't watch any other films and you say this was the best film since Endgame. Like in total.
And
nothing else.
You only watch art house cinema, so when you watch an MCU movie, you kind of start dry reaching and wanting to vomit.
Yeah, I feel like one of those creatures. We haven't really talked about the flashback characters there. I don't know if there's much to say. I was excited that I guess Linda Cardinelli is in it because I love her to death.
As Linda or Lydia, whatever her name is.
Lila. And
Lila?
they just all get shot to death.
That's funny.
I guess that's just all the like the brutal things that the kills that happen in this. Or I guess like at least side to main characters that die in this, but I mean it was pretty expected. So to me, I think it could have needed like one death, just because it kind of just worked well in the previous two, like when Groot basically died, or when what's his name, Yondu died. That was really emotional, and they wanted to do something different here where it gives him a send-off. And ultimately, I think this felt more like a send-off to James Gunn more than the Guardians as a whole. But yeah, we both can recommend it and let us know what you thought of it. Now, Lachlan, if you were to pair up this movie with another one to make a snugly tight little double feature, what would you pick?
That's a great question. What's a great send-off movie? What has never been done since it was made? You know what?
Apollo 8.
That's true. I guess the only film I could think of double featuring this film, because it's a send-off, right? You never see these characters ever again, and we're yet to see this character ever again since this rendition of the film. And it was notoriously and infamous in the fact that the main actor did not want to play the part. So they had some of the greatest jokes in filmmaking in this film. And ever since they made this film, the family that owns the IP has refused to make another movie. I'm talking about The Cat in the Hat.
I think this is not the first time that you pick The Cat in the Hat as your double feature.
Should I just start making my double feature Cat in the Hat somehow?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, maybe the next time you do it with because he didn't have an intricate like camera setup this week. You do have a like suspiciously looking top hat on your head, and by the end of the whole review, you reveal to have a cat under your hat. And
yes.
That's what I expect next week. But no, I'm going with something else from James Gunn that didn't do super well at the box office because it did have that day and date release over on HBO Max. And that's The Suicide Squad, not the David Ayer version from 2017, but the one that we got in 2021. Another movie that got a lot of chuckles out of me, where a bunch of people do die and you don't really grow attached to them, I guess. But I had some great performances in there. It's a fun movie that I also had a great time with. So go check that one out alongside Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Now, when it comes to new releases this week, there's not too much, because I feel like they are still like keeping the path clear for Guardians. And then next week we got Fast X, and then the week after we got The Little Mermaid. None of those films will get to cover the Fast X and The Little Mermaid, because we will be busy with Gunn. So on our new releases, I guess, schedule is Killers of the Flower Moon, which I'm really looking forward to. I'm making my way through the audiobook right now. But I did want to shout out some, smaller releases, mainly from two people that are still working on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, with Charlie Day's directorial debut called Fool's Paradise, a comedy, and then Glenn Howerton in Blackberry. I've been watching Sunny in Philadelphia for the first time, I think last year, and they started a podcast as well. And at one point, Glenn Howerton, who's the lead in Blackberry, did say he's got to shave his head. He's up in Toronto, and he showed it on the podcast. I'm like, what's this movie for? Turned out to be Blackberry. I was like, a movie about Blackberry. Is this really worth shaving your head for? And apparently it's been getting raving reviews. So I'm really looking forward to Blackberry. And both of those boys got a new movie out next week. And I think the next season of Sunny is also coming in a couple of months as well. So I'll be checking that out. Next week, we will be live in Gunn on the Tuesday that the episodes release. Well, I guess in the evening for us in Europe, for you, whatever your time zones are, you will get like a scheduled stream up there. Hopefully that all works out. We'll have to wait and see. This is the first time we ever do anything like this live. In the meantime, before we go live next week from Gunn, you can subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and let us know what you thought about the films that we covered today. Lachlan, looking forward to seeing you next week, actually seeing you in person. Well, it's a bit more than a week away, but you get it. It's pretty soon, and I'm really excited. See you there.